Welcome to the All Access Entertainment Podcast. I am your host, Joseph Bruen. This week, a very special guest. Very excited to have you here. I appreciate you taking the time. An entrepreneur, of course, one of the greats in the New England scene for so many years. Of course, the king of K&M ALL STAR SPORTS. Whether you know him from Norwich, Connecticut, or all your different locations over the years. Of course, Tanglewood Outlets and Foxwoods presently. And you've done so much behind the scenes as well for, pro wrestling. And of course, you've been a boxer and fought for years as well. And you've even been in a movie, and we're going to talk about all of that today. So very excited to have you here, Mr. Sam Romanella. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the introduction. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've done it all. And I'd like to kind of rewind to the very beginning. Growing up as a kid or a young adult, what was it like growing up for you? What were some of the hobbies that you were into? And when did you first find a love for sports?
Since I was a little kid, 5 years old, I'd say, or younger. I didn't know anything else. I grew up in a neighborhood that was not affluent, so to speak. We mom and dad, we didn't have much. We used to go out in the fields and play stickball and, tag and knock on doors and run away.
Yeah. Yep.
Just typical things, mom wanted you in the house when the street lights came on, and I never came home and the lights came on, and,
Right.
I was one of those kids. But, and then I got into boxing because I got in so much trouble for fighting. And I started boxing at the age of 13, and I took it to the next level. I was sparring partners with Vinny Paz, Mark Starlin, Moochie Starlin. I used to travel to Hartford with Felix Nance. He was the New England champ, and Moochie was the WBA world champ. So boxing was my thing. I played baseball. I was great at, I was really good at baseball. I was a catcher. And I got into fights as a catcher because somebody would plow into me, and then it was throw the glove off and start fighting. So yep. I got thrown out of games. It was different for me because being a street kid and liking to fight wasn't the norm. But I enjoyed it. And a guy by the name of Bob Brazil hooked me up with Vinny, and then Vinny and I were sparring partners for 9 years. I broke his nose before the first Greg Haugen fight, and that had to be postponed, which was a world title fight for a month.
Oh, man.
And then when I got done with boxing, I opened up this store in the Norristown Mall, and we started doing promotion. Well, let me back up. We started doing promotions before we opened the store. The funniest thing about it is I did Sergeant Slaughter was our first autograph signing.
Oh, wow. Okay. And this was in Norwich?
In the Norristown Mall, yeah. And this is 35 years ago. And I learned about how people come out for wrestlers more than they come out for baseball, basketball, football players.
Right.
We did JoJo White. We did Rich Griffin, who played for the Pats and the Jaguars. Ronnie Harris for the Patriots. Vincent Brisby, Ben Coates, Corey Kroom, Sam Gash. We had some of the greats. Howard Cross from the Giants. I'll never forget my father-in-law. He was a big Giants fan. That was the thrill of his life, to travel with Howard Cross and do things like that. We're obviously a family-run business. Me and my wife, our two children, Crystal and Michael, are named after K&M. K for Crystal, M for Michael.
Okay. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, that's how we came up with K&M ALL STAR SPORTS, our two children. And I got to be honest with you, we started out in the Northtown Mall after doing promotions, and we opened up the business there, and we started doing a ton of wrestling and basketball, baseball, football players. But like I said, nobody drew like wrestlers.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did you choose the Norwich Town Mall? How did you get to that point where you said, you know what, we're going to set up shop here?
We were living in Griswold, Connecticut, and Norwich Town Mall was the closest mall to us. And we had done promotions in that mall. So we said, hey, listen, let's give it a shot. And we opened up a store. And the craziest thing is my father-in-law, the kids, my wife and I, we're in there setting everything up and trying to get stuff. And if you looked at our store then compared to Foxwoods and the Tanger outlets now, you'd say, how did you ever survive? I mean, we were taking and we had just tons of Patriots hats, autographs, which were just 8x10s on a wall, a couple of spin things that you put T-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff on, a couple of those. And then we had a showcase where we had baseball, basketball, football, hockey cards. And we thought it was just the cream of the creme. We were great. Not realizing that I had a guy named Joe Grosser who was in the industry doing T-shirts, sweatshirts. He was a sales rep for, 10, 20 different companies. He actually taught me the business on how to be successful with selling merchandise because I had no idea.
So he was a big help behind the scenes for you.
100%.
Yeah.
And then a guy by the name of George Bowe helped me as far as I would order like 50 photos and do the autograph signing. And then when the 50 photos were gone, I was done, which I found out relatively early how stupid I was, because you're paying for an athlete to be there for 2 hours. When you get done with the fans, have them sign the photos,
right,
and use them for the store.
Exactly.
So I learned after a few times that, hey, listen, this is what I have to do. So I went and I started ordering 300 photos. So if I sold out 150 to the public, I had 150 for the store or wholesale. I learned how to wholesale photos to other people in the industry when we had autograph signings. I think I'm the only guy on earth that ever gave The Rock away as a free autograph.
Wow, that's unbelievable, especially how big of a star he's become now. And you've worked with The Rock about 15 times or so, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Rock and I, we go way back. We're good friends. I mean, I've known him forever. He's just a phenomenal athlete as well as a phenomenal star. And the funny story is we had Kane and The Rock at the Norwich Town Mall. So it was the first time Kane had ever come out in public with the mask. His mask. He had never done a signing. So we figured, let's give Rock away and draw the people in for Kane's autograph.
Right.
And that was our philosophy back then, which now I'm like, what were you thinking?
Right. Well, I mean, at that time he was brand new, and it wasn't the same as how big of a star he's become now. So,
well, it's crazy because when he went to turn to Hollywood, me, him, and Stone Cold were in the locker room and we were talking, and Rock said, "Hey, listen, you need to get as much stuff as you need signed because I'm heading to Hollywood and I'm not going to be signing much stuff anymore." So he went on a radio station and let everybody know, hey, I'm going to Hollywood. We ended up doing the private autograph signing with him. Then we went out to dinner, and my wife's best friend, Lisa, was with us, who was a huge Rock fan, and she could talk for a mile. I mean, she's a talker, and she was so starstruck by The Rock, she couldn't even talk.
Right.
It was crazy. It was nuts. But that's what I mean by us being a family business. Our friends, our family, we all got to enjoy everything. My father-in-law traveled with picking up the Yankees, the Giants, and he was a Yankees and the Giants fan. So he got to travel with a lot of the players and help us out by picking them up because we would be setting up to do the shows. My wife would bring the kids and they would set up at the malls before we would get there with the athletes if I had to go get them. It's been a great ride that I never realized would be 35 years later and I'd still be talking about it.
35 years is impressive for any business, and especially sports and collectibles, because it is a competitive business. And you have seemed to have, survived all the ups and downs, COVID, and all the competition out there. You've always kind of set yourself apart. You've been above and beyond. And K&M All Star Sports means something, especially, here in the New England scene. You hear K&M All Star Sports, it's legit. You're like, okay, that's where people go, and people have come to love that business. And you started from the ground up. You said Sergeant Slaughter started it all for you as far as in the store, but in those early days, how did you know how to go about booking talent? How did you even get into that at first?
Gene, hillbilly cousin Luke, Gene, he was a good close friend of mine. And he's the one, like when we did Stone Cold Steve Austin at the Meriden Square Mall, right after he beat Shawn Michaels, we had over 10,000 people in the mall. It was insane.
Oh
we were running with Stone Cold, with security and everything, and my wife's going around picking up kids as they're fun. And we went shopping afterwards, and they had to shut the store down so Steve could shop. It was nothing like you've ever seen in your life. We were on the cover of Autographs Memorabilia magazine. We were in the Record Journal, the newspapers, on the radio stations. We've done so much with all the different stars. And the way I picked them was really simple. Who's the hottest guy out there? Let's get him. And Jim Cornette was the booker at the time for WWE. And he would always let me know who was the hottest guy, who was the hottest female. And we would always book a guy and a female so that nobody felt left out when it came to the fans. Right. If you wanted a female star, there was a female star. If you wanted a male star, there was a male star. So we always made sure we had two male and female stars so that everybody was comfortable coming up and doing the signings. Right. And another thing that we did is we did wrestling shows. We had Jim Cornette, who handled the house, took care of all the wrestlers. We had everybody from Edge, Kane, the Hardy Boys. We did every star at a wrestling show, which is unheard of because people saw them on WWE, but it was WWF as well. And then they would go to a high school and would have 2,500 people sold out.
Yeah.
And the wrestling shows today don't draw that kind of people.
No.
So we were definitely the first in the industry to take and do all those things. Where now today you can't even touch any of that for a wrestling show.
Sure. Yeah, I remember big show in Connecticut. So I didn't even realize that you were a part of that one, but that makes sense now. It all comes together. But I remember the Dudley Boys being there and Edge, and I was there for that, and that crowd was unbelievable. And I used to go to the what's that?
That was at St. Bernard's High School.
Is that okay? That's where it was. Yeah.
Yeah, John Cena at Fitch High School.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Wow. So probably right around the same time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We used to try to do stuff back to back. Like we would do a wrestling show in October, then something in November. So you just kept, the advertising was less expensive because you advertise more than one show.
Sure. And that was actually my next question. Obviously it can become less expensive by doing it over and over, but what means of advertising did you use in those early days before social media and all that?
TV and radio, and
Mm,
obviously newspaper. What we would do is we used to be a sponsor to WWF, and they would put us on the actual billboards for like New Haven Coliseum
okay. Wow.
or Providence. Um, they would put us on the billboard and posters, so we could take that and magnify it by handing out the flyers at the shows. We were a ground running type organization. I mean, we used to go to high school football games in the winter, and we would put flyers on all the cars in the high schools. So we would go St. Bernard's, Fitch, New London, NFA, Killingly. We would hit all the high schools and
Yeah.
flyer them, where you could get away with that back then. Where today it's a whole new ball game with technology and social media and stuff like that. We were boots to the ground.
Right. And that's how you become so successful by putting in the grind like that. And a lot of people think that it just comes naturally and they don't put in all the effort, but that shows you that you have to do it from the ground up and you really got to stay busy.
There's no easy way out to be successful.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of our success came from the interaction with the athletes. We became friends with them. So it was a phone call to do anything to them rather than treat them like they're a piece of meat and they work for you and you own them. No, they're
Right.
human beings. You treat them with respect and dignity, and you correlate. Hey, listen, after we do the autograph signing, hey, let's go out to dinner. Let's, build this friendship where it's not just a business relationship, it's a friendship. And that was the key for all of us in this industry of, hey, we're going to go forward, but we're going to go forward with a long time project, not a short term. Let's try to gouge everybody and make $1 million today. Let's, hey, put our prices cheaper than everybody else. Let's have a relationship with the athlete and let's move forward in the industry so we set ourselves above everybody.
Hmm. And for the viewers watching now, my first experience with K&M All Star was the year 2000. It was at the Norwich Town Mall. I'm a Rhode Islander, so I made the trek out there with my mom at the time because I was a teenager. And we found out about Kevin Nash, Big Sexy, coming to K&M. So
Yes.
I still have that picture to this day, and that was my first time with you guys, being there, and it was just such a positive experience. And I would kind of continue on, and oh man, we got to find out when the next one is with K&M, and Trumbull Mall with Kurt Angle and Taz, and all these different promotions. I started going to all of them. New London, Connecticut, the live wrestling show with Hardcore Holly against D'Lo Brown, and you were with Jim Kettner and Sam Romanella, yourself, Jim Kettner, and Kevin Kelly. And
Yes.
that was great. Went with my brother. It was who was in the Navy at the time. He was in the Navy for 30 years, and you ended up going to his Navy base as well in Connecticut there. Mick Foley and Gilbert and a whole bunch of guys were on that show. So you were involved for so many different aspects, of the business. And I got to be there in those early stages, and they were just great experiences. And you brought so much to the area. What was your actual involvement behind the scenes at those wrestling shows? Like, what kind of different things were you dipping your head into?
Well, listen, my wife, she always took care of the front of the house, so to speak. The photos, the autographs, selling all of the merchandise. She headlined all of that. And I would be in the back taking care, making sure all the athletes got there on time. They had everything taken care of. The show was running smoothly. If I was working with like Jim Kettner, making sure, we had the Titantron. We were the only wrestling company out there that had a Titantron at the Navy base. So you could watch up on the Titantron. That was the newest innovative thing we did. So I handled all the behind the scenes stuff with the athletes, or the wrestlers, the promotion. the contracts, working with the Navy sub base. Bob Kidd was in charge of everything back then. I worked with Bob. I would, because everybody gets nervous. Oh my God, we got 2,500 people in the gym. How do we do this? How do we do that? I took care of the security, made security handled everything, not only for the fans, but for the celebrities. So my role was really easy as far as handling all of the big picture, where my wife handled all the like itemized things. She handled the staff, as far as selling everything. She made sure she had enough staff to sell things, to make sure we had enough inventory. She's always handled everything behind the scenes. She's the nuts and bolts, where I'm the big picture. I know how to get the stars and the inventory and all the mechanics. She takes care of the little things.
Funny story about that naval base show. I'm there as a fan, just checking it out. And, I'm a ring announcer at the time, but I'm not a part of that show. So I'm just watching. A lot of the wrestlers recognize me. So they bring me backstage, and Kevin Kelly wanted to do some filming. He was looking for somebody to kind of help him out with some of the filming backstage. So one of the wrestlers says, "Oh, Joe does a show with Cox Cable. He can do it for you." And I was nervous as hell because I was new to the Cox Cable show, and I knew how to use their equipment. That doesn't mean I'm great at using everybody's equipment yet, So they gave me the camera. They had me film Gilbert's entrance, where you knock on the door and he comes out, and Kevin Kelly's got my my back, and he's kind of guiding me backwards down the stairs. I filmed a couple of the promos. They ended up showing all of the footage on the Titantron.
On the Titantron we had.
Yeah.
All your work right out front for all the fans.
Right, exactly. And that was me doing that, and I was nervous as hell, and I didn't even know if it recorded properly, and then I found out it did. Everything was fine. But that was one of my earliest, it was probably 2 years into the business at that point.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was a great memory.
Associated back 23 years ago without really knowing each other as well as we do today, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And, I would just continue on to go to all those different events that you put on in Connecticut, and obviously always have been a supporter of the shop and all your different locations. And, why don't we talk about specifically Tanglewood Outlets, Foxwoods? You've been there for 8 or 9 years? 11 years already. Wow. Time flies.
We started out in the Norristown Mall. We were there for 18 years. We went over to the Crystal Mall. We were there for 8 years. And then we went to Tanger Outlets at Foxwoods Resort Casino, and we've been there for 11. And the funny story about going from Crystal Mall, thank God we did, to Foxwoods was I had grown up with a lot of the tribal members at Foxwoods, and they wanted our company to go there because they knew we brought the stars in, and that would help the casino. And I was really nervous about making that jump. But the good Lord upstairs is always taking care of me, because every place we moved to, Norristown Mall, Crystal Mall, and now Tanger Outlets, we've always been successful. So we've been blessed in that area that, we've always seen the handwriting on the wall. We are now EB's taking control of Crystal Mall, and there's really no more stores that are going to be there as of, I think, May of this year.
Oh, wow.
So we got out at the right time.
Crystal Mall used to be the Mecca.
100%. I mean, we had Gronk there with both his brothers who were in the NFL at the time, and we were the only company that had all three Gronk brothers do an autograph signing.
Wow.
And the funny story about that is Sam Romanella, being the entrepreneur that I've always been, decided, hey, listen, let's wholesale these out for $25, not realizing that Gronk was going to become an icon in the industry.
Seriously.
And I should have held on to it. I've never held on to anything. I got it, sell it, move on to the next thing.
Right.
And I don't know if that's smart or not, because there are some athletes I've had that I've said, well, if I held on to this stuff, we could have really made more money. But hindsight being 2020, you never know that at the time. And,
yeah, you can't look at it that way.
We've always, whatever we have now, let's get rid of it and move on to the next thing.
And I think that's probably what has kept you so successful is you're always thinking ahead, so you can only work on that present project for so long and all right, on to the next one. Let's go. And you just keep going with it. And
Well, I'll tell you a funny story.
yeah,
Is we do grab bags.
right.
So we do a $10 grab bag of an 8x10 autograph with some baseball, football, basketball, whatever cards in there for the kids. And to see the kids when they open that up with a chance to get Rey Mysterio, a chance to get Dom Mysterio, a chance to get I'm drawing a blank, Ray Allen, a basketball, football, or baseball star, Louis Tiant, autograph in there is priceless. You see these kids and they open up and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I got that. Or they get a jersey because we do a grab bag with a jersey as well with an 8x10 autograph. Obviously not for $10, but
Right.
we do the grab bags and people are astonished. Oh my God, I got Patrick Mahomes jersey. Instead of paying $175, I got it for $100.
Yeah.
And I got an 8x10 autograph, which sells for $40. So
Right.
I got a $225 piece for $100.
Yep.
So we try to do a lot of things that help the customers come in and want to shop at our store.
Absolutely.
We work with everybody. I mean, we've given so much to charity. And part of the charity is I'm an ex, I was in the Army at 17 and I boxed in the service. And I had a good time. So we do a 10% off discount to all veterans.
Oh, that's excellent.
Every year we give it back to our veterans.
Wow.
And being at Tanger Outlets and Foxwoods Casino, the Navy base is right down the street. The Coast Guard Academy is right down the street. So we have a ton of veterans that do come in that have lived there. They retired and they just stayed there.
Yeah.
So they come into the shop and they get 10% off. I mean, me and my wife have owned the company for 35 years, and we've done that, I want to say, almost since day one.
Wow.
Because we've always realized that the military gives us our freedoms and protect all of us. So why not help them out when they're shopping?
Absolutely.
So we do a lot of things that I'm not even going to get into as far as taking care of different charities, because part of giving is not bragging about it.
Sure. Absolutely.
We do it out of the kindness of our heart because good Lord upstairs says, you know what? You take care of others and he'll take care of you. So
it's going to come full circle. And it has come full circle with the success that you've had.
It's been a blessing. Both our children have gone through college. We're fortunate enough to have them both out here in Vegas, living out here. Our daughter does social media. She handles all our social media, obviously. Like I said earlier, our son's has his own company, and he's a TNA referee as well.
That's fantastic.
So he's trying to make it up through the business, with obviously WWE being the icon in that industry.
Wow. I remember your son at the signings, such a young kid, and now he's refereeing for TNA. It's crazy how fast time goes by.
Oh my God. It's crazy. Our son and daughter, they grew up in this industry. They grew up around all the stars. I mean, they have uncles, Rey Mysterio's their uncle. Dominic's their cousin. Aaliyah's me and my wife's goddaughter. Steve Austin, he's, always told my daughter, if anybody gives you any shit, you call your Uncle Steve. I mean, they've known all of these superstars in the industry, as family.
Yeah.
And that's so really cool as a kid growing up to say, hey, that's my uncle. Hey, that's family to us. And, they're not starstruck, so to speak, because they've been around all these athletes their whole lives.
Sure. Yeah, Rey Mysterio, I went to 2 of the signings that you had with him, one at Tanglewood and then the one prior to that at the other location.
At Crystal Mall. Yeah.
Yes,
At
and I remember
Crystal.
the line. You had the line sectioned off in, like, 15 different areas.
Oh
It
yeah.
was so big.
Listen, he's an icon beyond icon.
Yeah,
He's the biggest luchador there is in the history of wrestling.
without a
Nobody's
doubt.
bigger. And he's gone through so many injuries and
Yeah.
still got up and is still doing it at 50, 51 years old now. 50, yeah, 51 years old. It's just amazing. I mean, any athlete that does what they're doing, people want to say it's fake. It's not fake. It's
No.
just at the end of the day, it's scripted, no question about it. But at the end of the day, these are athletes. You go up there and try to jump off a ring post onto a table. You
Right.
try to jump on a mat. It hurts.
Oh, yeah.
And those moves they make, sometimes they can go terribly wrong.
Right.
And you get really injured. We had draws at Fitch High School, and then next thing you know, he got paralyzed.
Right.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Owen Hart, we had him and Jeff Jarrett at our store 2 weeks prior to him passing away in the tragic accident. My son and I and my wife, we're all watching on TV, and then that thing happened to Owen Hart, and we're like, oh my God, our son started crying because he knew Owen Hart. You know what I mean? They both our son and daughter knew these characters on TV.
Yeah.
So they felt the real emotion of they're our friends, their family, and to see stuff like that happen, it breaks your heart as a parent for me and my wife.
Yeah. And touching on the boxing a little bit, obviously, like you said, you were sparring partner with Paz for many years. But where did you get your initial training in boxing?
Oh, I started with Felix Nance and Moochie Starlin up in Hartford.
Okay.
Yeah. And I originally, when I was a little kid, started at the Wesley PAL with a guy by the name, unfortunately, he passed away last year, but Ronnie Gwaltney. That's where I originally started going to the gym every day and training was Wesley PAL.
Any memories of Vinny Paz's father?
Oh, ridiculous memories from him and his mom. Angelo, when we were in the Catskills training, he taught our daughter how to roll spaghetti with a spoon.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, we have, unbelievable memories. He was a typical Italian dad that was hardcore.
I have a great memory. It was larger than life. 5 years old, but I still remember it to this day. My mom took me to the gym where Vinny Paz was training there. I lived on Eastwood Avenue, so we were literally a street over.
Yeah,
and we went in, and his father was there, and Vinny happened to be there, even though he was, often out and about doing things. But he was there, and he was training in the ring, just kind of messing around. And his father was so gracious and so nice. And even though I was 5 years old, I still remember that. And he took us in the ring with Vinny, and it was just such a big moment. It was probably 1986, 1987.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, somewhere around there, because I was about 5. And that is something I'll never forget. And Vinny Paz is, he is New England, he is Rhode Island. He's one of the true greats, 5-time champion. Obviously, somebody you can certainly look up to as far as his talent goes. He was unmatched for so long.
Oh, listen, it was great during those years. As far as boxing, it was a total different sport when I was training, where you would live or die in the ring. Now it's just a show, and it's just more BS today than it is anything. I'm not a fan of it. I'm obviously a fan, but I'm not I liked back in the day.
Sure.
Where we tried to kill each other in the ring, and there was no love lost between anybody. We were there to fight, and we were there to win. And we gave everything we had to it. And I tell people today, I say it's a different world from back yesteryear. Today, it's more of a show, and it's about social media, and it's about how many followers I can get and how many this I can do. Back then, we didn't care what we were getting paid, so to speak. We just wanted to be fighting. We just wanted to win. We just wanted to beat the best. And that was our mentality. I got a tattoo that says "Can't Lose" on my chest. I got it with my son and his best friend. We all got the Friday Night Lights tattoo, you know. But our company, K&M ALL STAR SPORTS, we are so blessed. It's been a family run, a family company our whole life. Me and my wife flew in for Christmas this year, and we were there for 2 weeks. And I had an 89-year-old lady that just came in, and she had to pinch my cheeks. And that brought me back to my Aunt Annie and Uncle Sil days, where my Aunt Annie always pinched my cheeks. And my wife, she loves watching that kind of stuff about our family and our company. We've grown, but yet we've had people following us for 35 years, from the Norristown Mall to the Tanger outlets at Foxwoods. And that's a blessing for us, that we've given back to the community and to the fans, so much so that they continue to follow us and believe in us. And we'll never stop working. I mean, I'm 63 years old, and I'm still, flying back and forth every month and still giving it 110, doing the ordering and trying to get everything done. My wife takes care of the, paperwork and all the, details of that end of the industry, that I'm like, I'm good with. I hate doing all that stuff.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's not work for you. It's your passion. It's your life, and it's your business. So you got to be a part of it. And you're there every month, and that shows, all these years, 35 years later, you're still making appearances in the store every month. And that's a big deal. There's some people that are in it for a few years, and then they go maybe once a year, if that, they have somebody else doing it.
My biggest thing is I get a kick out of the people that will come in with their phones. Hey, you on Raw with Matt Hardy at Sold Out Madison Square Garden. You were, his trainer. What was that like? It was great. I mean, I've done that. I was with Triple H when he was smacking me in the back of the head, and I was playing an EMT with Stone Cold with a bear trap, trying to get Road Dogg's leg out of it. And to see all those things that we did as a company, but as an individual, it's awesome to say those things. Hey, yeah, I've been in Sold Out Madison Square Garden. I got to get orders from Vince McMahon, the greatest of greats in this industry, telling me what I can do, what you need to do, how you need to act inside the ring, and what you need to say. And I mean, those are things that I can't count how many people actually get to say they did that.
Right. Yeah, you did it on the grand stage, that is for sure. And obviously you've been successful in all of your locations, like we spoke about. Do you have a favorite location? Did one mean more than the other?
I got to tell you, the first is always the hardest, but the most gratifying. And Norristown Mall, people used to travel from up north. They hated to go to Crystal Mall, and we were the in-between store. We had all this stuff. And I do want to say this one thing, and we're the only mom and pop store with the contract with Nike and Fanatics that is allowed to sell and get jerseys that are authentic jerseys from the Fanatics line, which is the Nike line. We're the only company that has that, other than like Dick's or Finish Line, those kind of companies. We're the only mom and pops that has that contract. And we got that contract because of our dedication with the promotion end of our industry, getting all the stars into the mall. Right. Nike came out, they saw us doing all the autograph signings with the different stars, and they're like, okay, we're good. We're gonna sign with you and allow you to sell our jerseys.
And, when it comes to pro wrestling in-store signings for you, you've had Rey Mysterio a couple times. You've had The Rock 15 times or more. You've had, of course, like we talked about, Stone Cold Steve Austin with 10,000 fans. You had Kane. You had D-Generation X as a group. which was very impressive. Nobody else was doing that. And what other wrestling stars have you had over the years? Sergeant Slaughter. Who else have you had?
I mean, we've had everybody. Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund, John Cena. We sold out at Merritt Square Mall with about, I want to say about 5,000 people at the Merritt Square Mall for John Cena, Batista, Randy Orton. I mean, Randy Orton is iconic. I mean, he's the best. He can be anywhere in the world. He hears the voice. That's Randy. He'll turn around and go, what? I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we've had, I probably would say every wrestler in the Attitude area, from Trish Stratus, Lita, Gail Kim. Again, there's so many, I can't remember all the names.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash, icons that unfortunately have passed away. China, I mean, you mentioned D-Generation X, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn. They're just iconic wrestlers. I mean, Billy Gunn to this day still wrestling, and he's my age.
And he's in better shape now than he's ever been.
He's still a beast. And he took our son under his wing and worked with him as a referee. Ray obviously has worked with our son as a referee, giving him pointers on what he needs to do. It's just, I can't count. You probably know better than me all the different stars we've had. But if I stopped and looked through my phone, I could tell you all of them because I have all their numbers.
Yeah.
And that's the key to doing this industry. When you come in and you want a wrestling autograph, we have them. They're sitting there on the shelf, and I can call up whoever we've got the autograph from and say, yeah, that's when we did it or who we got it from. There's no questions where our autographs come from. And in this industry, that's hard to say.
Absolutely. And who would you say has been your favorite guest to have, whether it be sports or on the wrestling side or anything in between?
We just had, I mean, not my favorite, but I mean, he's one of my favorites. Cash from Tulsa King. He's Bigfoot on Tulsa King. He's Sylvester Stallone's bodyguard.
Yeah.
We had him. We had from Big Brother, Jesse. I mean, we've ventured off into the social media and the different, like Paramount Plus, the Netflix stars, those people, superstars we've had at the store lately, where you would never picture me knowing about that stuff because I'm, an old school guy.
Right.
But my favorite of all time, again, would probably be Rey Mysterio, Stone Cold, and The Rock. Those are probably the three top names I've ever had in the industry, because Rey brings a whole different dynamic. He's family. The Rock obviously speaks for itself, and Stone Cold, he's family. He's the Attitude Era. He's the one that made that era what it is today. And to have all those three names are, to me, the most iconic, because they bring such different flair to the industry, and they're both the best in their industry. You look at Rey Mysterio, he's a lucha. He's the best lucha ever. Best small man. Like me, I'm not a big guy. He's the best small man ever to win world titles.
Right.
Rock, he's in the movie industry. He's an icon in the movie industry now. Stone Cold, he's iconic because he was the Attitude Era. So they're three top names that are the best in each industry.
Sure. And who would you say, obviously there's a different side of things. There's the sports and there's the wrestling, but obviously you got it all together as a whole. But when it comes to celebrity, When did that start changing where you're like, you know what, let me mix that into the store? Because like you said, now you kind of expanded your horizons. But what was there a moment that got you to that point where you're like, you know what, we need to do that?
We did Zap when American Gladiators was at its height.
Oh yeah.
So we dabbled ever since the beginning in every industry to try to pick the industry that would be the most successful for promotions, who would bring the most people in to recognize our company.
Right.
So we recognized that at an early stage in our beginning stage of our promotional end of the company. Um, now we do tickets. We have I have season tickets to the Raiders, so when they have different groups of ACDC or the Canelo Crawford fight, we venture off to buying extra tickets and reselling them to try to help our business. We've actually done a lot of different things that you wouldn't think a brick and mortar company would do.
And it's been impressive, that's for sure.
It goes a long way. And in 35 years, we've put our whole family and our heart and soul into this company. And we hope it lasts for another 35.
And I got a two-part question for you. What is your greatest challenge been being a part of this industry? And then on the flip side of that, the most rewarding for you?
I'll start with the most rewarding. It's to be able to take care of our family by owning the company. That's the most rewarding. Seeing our children be successful in life. That's the most rewarding. Me and my wife being married for 41 years. That's rewarding for me. That's my biggest, so to speak, my biggest accomplishment in life. Being able to have a wife and children and all of us be close knit. That's my greatest accomplishment. The most difficult is the industry we're in and the world we live in today. I'll give you an example. Back 35 years ago, if I made $1 in this industry, I got to keep 75 cents. Today, if I make $1, I get to keep 20 cents.
Yeah.
Taxes, inflation, being a mom and pops and trying to take care of the customer. That's always been tough because we have big hearts and we want to be able to take care of that customer. We don't want them to leave the store without buying. So we're going to give you a break, or we're going to take care of you. Another big positive for us is seeing the little kids be excited. Hey, can I take a photo with you? Sure, come on, let's take a photo. Can you sign this? Sure, sign this. Can I, call my friend and you say hi? Sure. Those are all things that for me, seeing kids be so amped up just about something so simple.
Yeah.
That means the world to us. We want the kids to be happy. Well, every kid that comes in our store, we give baseball, basketball, football cards to. We take 2 cards and we hand them to the kids. Doesn't cost them anything. Here you go, free.
Right.
The one thing that I always laugh about is when the little kid looks at me and goes, hey, can I get LeBron James? But that kids, they don't know any better. They're just free birds.
Right.
They're loving life and they don't know, oh, hey, here you go, it's free.
And just that little gesture, though, that the lives could be completely changed. I mean, you could be turning that child into a lifelong sports fan just by giving them those 2 cards.
We have, because I have kids that are in there. They were 10 years old coming into the Norristown Mall. Now they're 45 and they got kids and they're like, oh my God, it's so cool. You're getting cards from them. I got them when I was 10 years old and going to the Norristown Mall and seeing Mr. Romanella. And I'm like, I'm seeing. It's great for me and my wife. Like at Christmas time when we fly back and we're together in the store and we get to see together the kids that light up, or the parents that have been coming to our store since they were little kids. That for us means the most.
What would you say is the number one piece of advice that you've received over the years?
Came from my accountant. Don't be a pig. Pigs get slaughtered.
Mm.
Now, the philosophy on that is sell your merchandise as cheap as you can, do volume, which adds up to the dollars. Don't try to be a pig and charge an exorbitant amount of price for a piece when, guess what? You don't need to.
Right. And what advice do you have for somebody that's just thinking about getting into the business? Maybe they want to start a small shop somewhere or whatever it may be.
Location is key. Personality is second. You have to be personable. You have to talk to the people. You have to appreciate the people. You have to be thankful to the people. And you have to have boots to the ground, the flyers, the business cards. You have to go out into the public and put yourself out there as a grunt worker. I'll never forget when me and my wife, we hired, I won't say whether it was a male or a female, but we hired somebody and I said, hey, listen, let me grab the garbage and show you where you got to take the garbage out. And they said, oh, I don't do the garbage. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, I do the garbage and I'm the owner.
Yeah.
Well, I don't do the garbage. I don't do the windows. Well, you're not hired. You're fired. You're not
Right.
you're not working for me. Because I've always shown our staff that I do the grunt work. I break up the boxes. I put the stark out. I take the garbage out. I do the windows. I vacuum. I do whatever it takes. There's not a job in the store or in the office that I won't do, because whatever it takes to get the company successful and be successful, I'm going to do. I'm no better than anybody else.
Right, exactly. What would you say is your biggest takeaway from your boxing career?
Discipline.
Mm.
You have to be disciplined to be a successful fighter. You have to do the road work. You have to do the training. You can't just talk about it or say, do it for looks. You have to actually put the boots to the ground. And discipline from boxing, from being in the military, that's the key to life. I wish our children today were more disciplined and not given everything. Because being given everything, you think you're entitled. You're not entitled to anything. You need to work. The kids that work, the parents that worked, they're the ones that will be successful. Not the people that think that it's just handed to them. Nothing was handed to me.
Right, exactly. You got to work for it. You have to. Now, when it comes to the sports figures, other than the wrestling stars that we've talked about, the other side of things, you've had Gronkowski and his brothers. Who are some of the other memorable sports stars that you've had in the shops over the years?
JoJo White. Unfortunately, he's passed away. But JoJo, he told me what basketball was back in the day, how hard it was to be successful. Louis Tion. I mean, I was a kid going to Fenway Park and screaming for Louis Tion to come over to sign my baseball or my glove. And here I am going out to dinner with him smoking a cigar with me. Those are icons. I mean, we had all the UConn players. We were the only company out there that had every UConn player from Rebecca Lobo, Carol Walters, Ray Allen, Travis King, Travis Knight, Kurt King, out there. We had Scotty Burrell. I mean, I'm aging myself way back. When he was at UConn, we had him. So yeah, we were the only company that did all the UConn men and women every year they came out. The day they graduated, we had them signing autographs at all the malls. We used to do Connecticut Post Mall, Trumbull Mall, Enfield Mall, Meriden Mall, Norwich Town Mall, obviously, even Crystal Mall. We would go to before we had our shop there doing autograph signings. Hey, we had Screech.
Did you really?
Saved by the Bell.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of different things to go further in our career and our company.
And over the years, what are some of the hottest items at your shop available for sale that you noticed were just flying off the shelves? You know, anything that stands out?
Best 16 by 20 framed photo, David Ortiz, Tom Brady with championships in their hands, and they were standing together. That is the number one seller, I can honestly say, forever, was that framed photo.
Wow.
The best wrestler that sells the most is John Cena and Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio merchandise. You just can't keep up with it.
Not at all. He outsells everyone.
I remember the signing you had at the, I think you said it was a Crystal Mall with Ray.
Yep.
The amount of masks that were selling, it was crazy. They were just flying, you know?
You know, Ray outsells everybody because of who he is as an individual. He's a nice father, son, brother, human being. He goes out of his way to be good to the fans.
Right.
When we were at Crystal Mall that day, we had a kid that was dying that wanted to meet Ray, but he was in a wheelchair and he couldn't come out of the van. So we went outside, took photos, and did all that with them.
Wow.
And Ray was gracious as could be to do it. So those are the things that mean the most in this industry. People think it's you being a star. No, it's you being a human being. It's you being nice. Like my wife and I, we've always gone out of our way to be great to the customer because we realize that that customer could shop anywhere in the world. They don't have to shop with us. Yeah. But by us being good to them and being personable to them and going the extra mile, I don't know how many times we've ordered things online because somebody called and said, hey, can you get this? Or come in the shop and get, hey, can you get this? And we'd go out of our way to order for them.
Yeah.
And basically do Christmas shopping.
Right, exactly. You mentioned Stone Cold, 10,000 fans. John Cena, 5,000 fans. Other than those two individuals, who would you say your top 4 crowds have been for over the years?
Over all the years?
Yeah.
Obviously, Ray. Matt and Jeff Hardy. They, believe me, they outsell anybody other than the top crowds. They are like a close second. And the funny story is my son, our son, when he did work at AEW, he got to work with Billy Gunn. And Billy, when he was with DX at Boston Garden, Michael was in the ring with them. And he did the whole promotion and DX, the referee, and got the biggest pop out of anybody that night.
Wow. Oh, man.
So, yeah, our son and our daughter grew up in this industry with all of them. And like I said, Matt and Jeff Hardy now he works with in TNA. So full circle, our children growing up with these stars and then later on in life working with them. So it's a whole family-run business, but like I said before, it's how you interact. If I wasn't nice to you or my wife wasn't nice to you back in the day when you were a kid coming to the autograph signings because you met my wife first because she's the one selling the tickets.
Right.
Would we be here today?
Yeah, probably not, you know? Yeah, it's true.
If I gave you a bad feeling or a bad autograph signing or a bad interaction with us, we wouldn't have this conversation today. You would hate me.
Right. No,
We're
it's
not
true.
like,
Yeah.
but that's the truth behind our company's motto of treating everybody the way we would like to be treated.
And just chiming in your inner fan, who would your Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling be, top four? And who's your Mount Rushmore of boxing? Any
Mount
era.
Rushmore boxing: Rocky Marciano, Muhammad Ali, Roy Jones Jr.,
Hmm.
and it's a toss-up between Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward
Ah, okay. Yep.
because they both were blood, sweat, and tears as iconic fighters who just went beyond the call of duty. As far as wrestlers, you got to start out with Rey Mysterio, top luchador, The Rock, because he's Mr. Hollywood, Stone Cold, because he's Attitude Era,
Yeah.
and then the fourth iconic wrestler I would go with would be John Cena,
Mhm.
because John's a guy that never forgot where he came from and is always there to please the fans.
Very humble and pretty much, helped carry WWE for many years. He was on top and really brought it to that next level when there were no more Hulk Hogan's or, guys like that. He was that guy. So
100%.
yeah. Now, you've worked with thousands of talents over the years. It's got to be thousands with all the sports, all the wrestling, all the
More than,
celebrities.
I'd say tens of thousands.
Yeah.
We've probably did over 10,000 athletes in our 35 years. Because at one clip, like I said to you, we were doing Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, 2 athletes to 4 athletes a day.
Wow. That's impressive. And with all those people you've worked with, was there somebody that you've always wanted to work with, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't happened yet? Schedules aren't aligning. Is there still somebody out there that you eventually would like to get at the shop?
Joe, that's a great question. But unfortunately, it's like the same question. I'll give you a parallel. Somebody asked me, hey, what's your bucket list? I said, I don't have one. I said, what do you mean? I said, because I've probably done everything I've ever wanted to do. And if I want to do it, I'll go do it.
Right.
And that probably goes the same with what athlete I've ever wanted to work with that I never worked with. I mean, I worked with Ric Flair, Mr. Wu himself.
Yeah.
I remember having drinks with him. I mean, there's probably not an athlete I've not worked with that I wanted to work with. And there's been I want to say, and my wife would know better than me because I would be bitching to her, but there's only probably 2 or 3 athletes that I'd rather punch in the mouth than work with ever again.
Hmm.
That were complete. I'll tell you one name of one athlete because he's doing time because he turned out to be a real piece of shit. Was Big Baby for the Celtics.
Really? Okay.
I had him and Nate Archibald. Nate. Oh my God, he's the littlest guy. Played on the Celtics. He can dunk. Nate, not Nate Archibald. Nate, he boxed. Oh my God.
Drawing a
I'm drawing a blank. Anyways, he played for the Celtics, and him and Big Baby came to the Crystal Mall for an autograph signing. And the fans were getting irritated and came to me and said, hey, Big Baby won't even smile when we take photos with him. I'm like, really? So I walked over. I told his agent. I said, hey, yo, tell Big Baby, I'm paying him to smile and be nice to the fans, and I don't bring assholes to the store. So he needs to smile and be nice. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
So the agent went over, must have whispered in his ear, and he continued to be a jerk. So I went over. I pulled him away from the signing. I got in his face, and I said, kid, I don't know who the hell you think you are, but either you're going to be nice to the fans or we can go outdoors and I can knock the living out of you because you don't intimidate me, you don't scare me. I'll break your jaw. So sit your ass back down, smile, be nice to the fans, or A, you don't get paid, and B, I'm going to kick your ass.
Wow.
Dave sat down and was nice to the fans and smiled, and he got paid. But I would never use him again. And now he's in jail. So I was right of him being a piece of garbage.
Exactly. Yeah. Never made anything of himself. That's too bad, but.
And Nate was mad because Nate pulled me aside. And Nate Robinson, that's his name.
Oh,
Nate,
right. Yes.
He pulled me aside. He said, Sam, I'm really sorry that you had to go through that. I said, bro, it's not your problem. I said, it's his problem. But bad karma comes to all the people that do me wrong. My family, you do our family wrong, you get bad karma. Trust me. It's happened to many of people that have done my kids or my wife or me wrong.
And you're in great shape now. You've always been in good shape, obviously with the boxing background, you've always been active. What has your training regimen been like over the years? What's that look like?
I train 5 days a week. I'm my wife, we've always had a gym in our house. So I train in the gym. Then I go sit in the sauna. And I probably spend anywhere from 30 minutes to 60 minutes in the sauna. And I do it 5 days a week. Anytime I try to run or walk, not walk, but run and do road work, somehow my knees just don't enjoy road work anymore. And I end up with another surgery. So running's not my forte. Let's put it that way. But my wife will tell you, I'm miserable if I don't work out.
Right.
It's something that has been in my brain my whole life. So even at 63, I'm doing 400 sit-ups a day still. Yeah. So that's just my mentality, and it keeps me able to do what I do at a high level.
Mm-hmm. I think that last signing.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I think if you work hard, and it's the old saying of Hulk Hogan. I hate to reiterate what he says, but taking your vitamins, saying your prayers, and working hard, those are the 3 ingredients to a successful life. And keeping your wife happy if you're married. Yes. Those are the things you do in life. And for me, that's what works. I've got some good doctors that have kept me going for 63 years. And they all attribute a lot of it to me staying in shape.
Yeah.
And
you had another stern chat with Brock Lesnar. Would love to hear about that story.
Ooh, yeah. Me and Brock had it out a little bit in the back of a limo. He decided he was going to, tell me how things ran when I'm paying you. And me and him had a heart-to-heart in the back of the limo, and things were a little chaotic, but we got to the next signing and did the signing.
Right.
But Brock and I have had our, I hate to say it in life, not only when you're married or have children, everybody has ups and downs, and it's the same in my industry. I love Brock Lesnar. He and I get along great today. We had a little conflict, no big deal. I've had conflicts with other athletes, no big deal. There's only, like I said, 2 or 3 that I got no use for. And Karma's got to all of them.
Yeah.
So
and say you're out hitting the town.
Yep.
If you're hitting the town, obviously, your drink of choice, Jack Daniels, right?
100%.
So, you're having a Jack. Have you ever had one with The Undertaker? He famously, that's his favorite as well.
I got to be honest with you. I have talked with The Undertaker. I've never had a Jack and Coke with The Undertaker.
Oh, man, we got to get this done.
I have drank with the best of them.
Yeah.
After a show or after going to a wrestling event, going out and had Jack and Cokes with the guys or had dinner with the guys. But I will say The Undertaker, I have not drank with. And I drink with everyone. you go through the whole roster of K&M All Star Sports, 99.9% of them, me and my wife, we always made it a deal. After we got done with a signing, we would go out to dinner with the athletes and stuff. And the kids really enjoyed that the most, sit down. I mean, I'll give you a quick story. We were at, I don't know if it was a WrestleMania or a Monday Night Raw. We were living in Jersey at the time. Our son was playing in high school football in Jersey. And him and his buddy said, hey, can I go to the show with you tonight, which was at MSG? And my wife looked at the kids and said, hey, no matter what time you get back in the morning, you have to go to school that day. So my son and his best friend, we went to the show. We went out afterward with all the boys and went to a place that was shut down, had food and drinks. And I think we got home like at 5 or 6 in the morning. And they had to go to school at 7. And they're like, Mom, can we go to bed? And she's like, nope. You want to hang with the big dog? You got to do like the big dog does. You got to go to school. So they went to school that day.
That's great.
But yeah, me and my wife, we've been very fortunate to have dinner with everybody, and drinks and get to know their families. A quick thing with the Undertaker's wife, Michelle McCool. She played basketball with our son when he was a little kid, and she was brand new to the industry. She was out on the basketball court playing with our son. Randy Orton and Melina showed up and flipped the coin at our son's football game. They went out and they were the coin toss for his football game. So like I said, we've always kept everything in-house with the family, and done family things with the athletes. And they've been all gracious enough to do it.
And real quick, let's just talk about your faith and how it's helped, guide you to success.
Listen, I say my prayers every day. Before I eat a meal, I say a prayer. Our daughter really has gotten back into prayer and God. Me and my wife have always, gone to church every now and then, not all the time, but we say our prayers every day. We say a prayer before we eat dinner. We give thanks for everything that we've got, because without giving thanks and without taking care of, like I said to you before, people, without being acknowledged for it, is the true meaning behind God. So yeah, I've always been faith. I'll give you a quick scenario for me. I've gone through a lot of different hard times in life. And the one thing that I believe in more than anything is footprints. All the fans out there, look up footprints. And basically it's a story about when you're down and out and thinking that nobody's there, nobody's helping you. It's God who picked you up and carried you. That's why there's only one set of footprints in the sand. So for me, it's all about, and if you talk to me on the street or met me, you'd never believe for a minute my faith and my strength through God, because I'm just a rough exterior. But down deep, that's my faith. That's what we believe in as a family. And that's how we work and are successful in our industry and in our business.
And do you have a keepsake all these years, doing this? Is there something that you hold near and dear that you'll never let go? And
listen, I've given my jewelry and stuff because I've got a really bad neck. I got 4 blown discs in my neck. So my jewelry, I've given to my son and daughter, most of it. Right now with my rheumatoid arthritis, I can't wear my rings. But as far as autographed memorabilia, I mean, I've given my son a ton. He could probably sell it all and have a house. That's how much memorabilia he has. Memorabilia close to my heart would probably be, I have stuff in my gym. I have the Doobie Brothers, who I've loved my whole life since a kid. And we got to meet them and see them in concert. I've got drumsticks, guitar picks. I have an album signed by Michael McDonald and the whole crew
Wow.
that I have framed. I would probably say that I have a framed piece of The Rock and Stone Cold, their poster from when they fought in WrestleMania. I have WrestleMania 18. You can look it up, signed by all the wrestlers from Hulk Hogan to Scott Hall to Triple H, everyone on WrestleMania 18. I have that signed. Ray, I have his whole outfit framed and signed that he gave me. I have a wrestling mask from when he threw out the first pitch for San Diego Padres in the gym. My wife has Belmont, because we go to Belmont every year, and we have a gated off area that we sit with the New York City Police and New York City Fire Department that's right next to the stage. We've been on stage with Flo Rida.
Wow.
I have my father-in-law's flag. My wife does. Father-in-law's flag and my uncle's flag, because they both served, and when they passed, they gave us the flags. Let's see. I have my son, when his contract that he signed with the NFL when he was an NFL scout with the Cleveland Browns. My daughter's a huge Wizard of Oz fan, so she had that and Britney Spears, so she has a bunch of that stuff in her room. And that's, I have Sopranos wine back when Soprano actually, wait, I'll show you.
Oh, no way. Look at that.
Sopranos wine.
That's fantastic.
There's so much stuff that me and my wife have had signed and collected over the years that we don't even know about. I have a Dennis Rodman. We did Dennis Rodman right at the day after he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. I have his cigars that he made for the event, the box that he gave me. We seen Rodman last year in a bar when WrestleMania was going on, and he yelled to me, "Sammy!" And he's telling everybody, "I knew his son when he was just a little shit." So it's kind of ironic that not only do we remember a lot of the stars and people, but they all remember us. And that just is a tribute to our company and us believing in taking care of everybody.
And before we end here, I got to ask you, you were a part of Bleed for This, obviously the story of Vinny Paz, you played a judge. Tell us about that whole experience and how you got involved in that.
It was funny. They gave me a call and wanted me to go up there and film in it. And me and my daughter couldn't make it that day. Me and my son went up, and he got to be in the crowd, and I played a judge for that. We got to meet everybody from, Miles Teller, he was coming over to the ring apron and asking me, "Did this look good? Did this look real?" It was an event. We walked the red carpet in Vegas. Ray and his wife walked with me and my wife. We got to walk the red carpet in Providence. It was just a great event to be behind the scenes and see how they do movies. And it was fun for my family, my wife, my kids to be a part of it and to see all of it and to meet everybody. Katie Seagal. There were so many stars that were there and participated in it, and to see how they actually don't have 1 million fans in the audience. There's like 100 and something, and they make it look like there's 1 million people there.
Wow.
When they're filming. It was pretty iconic, and it was kind of mind-boggling to see how they do it. But Hollywood's not something I've ever dreamed about wanting to be a part of or doing. And having done that, done Raw, SmackDown, and been a part of TV and movies has been a great thing for me and our company to do.
Yeah. And obviously, family comes first. Family's number one. But beyond family, the business side of things, all of the experiences that you've talked about today, and even beyond that, so many experiences that you've been a part of. If you had to pick one, what would that number one moment be on the business side of things, your entire career?
Coming into the Meriden Square Mall and seeing 10,000 people hanging off the rafters. I mean, it was up top, it was below. I mean, it was a moment when, and I want to give a shout out to Bruce Engelson, who passed away in the 9/11 attack in the Twin Towers. He gave me my big break with Westfield Corporation at the Meriden Square Mall. And we were able to do Meriden, Connecticut Post, Trumbull, and Enfield malls because of him. And he was a good friend of our family. And we used to go to the Patriots Dolphins games. But his face, my wife, he had said to my wife, he's not going to, flip everybody off and do his gimmick, is he? My wife's like, no, he's good. And then he stood up on the table, took his shirt off, and flipped everybody off. And Bruce's face, my wife was staring and looked at him, and he had a big old smile on his face and didn't get upset because the fans erupted like you wouldn't believe when he did it.
What was Steve's reaction when he got there and saw
He
10,000
couldn't
people?
believe it. It was the biggest signing he had ever did. And he was thankful for being a part of it. He did so much for our company. He did so many newspaper articles for our company. He did so many voice promotion things for us. I mean, Steve did a lot of things for us that we're so thankful. I mean, I still text and talk with him all the time. I mean, we don't miss a beat together. I stay the most in touch with, obviously, Ray and our families, and probably Steve and Cena, Randy Orton, Billy Gunn, probably missing a few people, but those are the guys that I stay the most in touch with.
Yeah.
That I have a regular conversation with throughout the year.
And how can fans, for the viewers that aren't familiar with K&M that are watching right now, how can you be found? Tell us location, where you're at, your website, all the goods.
K&M All Star Sports, Tanger Outlets, Foxwoods Resort Casino. We're there. We've been there for 11 years. We're right next to H&M. We're right off the casino floor on the Grand Pequot side of things. Our website's K&M All Star Sports. Our phone number at the store is 860-222-3363.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we get some new people to discover, how great K&M is and all that it is, and create some new little sports fans out there, and they can get some.
That's the biggest thrill for me. I love seeing kids come in and being so excited and asking me stories, and I love telling them the stories about the different athletes and what it's like to be a part of their lives and how they really are. And I'm there once a month, and I enjoy it. And I'm there for Christmas, usually for a couple of weeks. So it's a good time, and I enjoy every part of it. And if anybody ever needs anything, we're there to reach out and take. And I can't thank you enough, Joe, for thinking of us, thinking of me, and putting us out here on the podcast. I wish you nothing but the best. Anything I can do to help you, I'm more than happy to do. And to all your fans out there, they couldn't help but support somebody like you because you are the best in the industry, and you're so thankful and grateful for all the things you do and are part of. And that's a key to being a successful human being. Thank you.
I really appreciate that, Sam. Thank you so much. And, fast forward in closing, fast forward years from now, looking back at your career as a whole, how do you want to be remembered? What do you want your legacy to be?
I would love my legacy to be known as a family man who worked to be the best and strived for his family's success and the people he comes in contact with.
Sam, thank you so much for being here. Greatly appreciate having you. It's been a great chat. For the great Sam Romanella, I'm Joseph Bruen. This has been the All Access Entertainment Podcast. Leave a comment. Love to hear what you think of the show, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks, Joe. Have a good night.